Have you ever wondered if your thoughts are more than just fleeting sparks in the brain? If they are, in fact, tuned to a deeper signal, an invisible thread that connects you to the vast architecture of the cosmos? Today, we journey into the depths of the quantum field and the mind of Nikola Tesla, a man who believed the brain was a receiver, not just a generator. If you're ready to unlock a vision that merges the mysteries of consciousness with the subtle energy of the universe, be sure to like this video, share it with others who are ready to awaken, and prepare to see reality through a new lens. The core of all existence lies energy, an ever-moving, infinite ocean of vibration, frequency, and rhythm. Quantum mechanics has long revealed that what we perceive as physical matter is not solid at its foundation, but rather a fluctuating field of potential, a shimmering matrix that collapses into form only when observed. In this world where particles behave like waves, and waves carry information, the idea of consciousness being part of the equation becomes not just philosophical, but scientific. Every atom, every photon, every oscillation in the quantum sea echoes a pattern that holds meaning. Beyond physical form, Tesla understood this intuitively, sensing that his inventions were not merely constructed, but received. He spoke of ideas coming in flashes, of entire mechanisms appearing in his mind fully formed before he ever put pen to paper. This insight, that knowledge could be transmitted rather than taught, was rooted in his belief that the universe itself is an intelligent, communicative field. To grasp the nature of this transmission, one must leave behind the traditional view of the brain as merely a biological processor and embrace the metaphor of the receiver. In a quantum framework, the brain becomes like a finely tuned antenna, capable of aligning with specific frequencies in the quantum field. Each frequency, each vibration is a carrier of potential, of insight, of memory, of vision not yet born into the material world. The more coherent the internal state, through meditation, stillness, or focused intent, the more precise the tuning. This isn't metaphysical speculation. It finds echo in the physics of coherence. Coherence allows waves to amplify one another, to lock into patterns that are greater than the sum of their parts. When the human mind attains coherence, it begins to harmonize with the grander symphony of existence. Tesla's life was a testament to this harmony. His periods of solitude were not escapes from the world, but doorways into deeper connection. It was in these silent intervals that the pulse of the universe became clearest to him. What he heard, what he saw in these spaces, he described not as imagination but as perception. Perception of realities that existed beyond the veil of ordinary senses. These perceptions led to the invention of alternating current, wireless transmission, and even dreams of global energy distribution, all ahead of his time, all seated in the invisible and nurtured into the visible. To Tesla, these revelations were not his own. They were gifts from a higher intelligence he merely aligned with. In the quantum model, everything is entangled. Every thought sends ripples through a non-local web of probability. These ripples don't just vanish, they interact, resonate, and feed back into the field. This feedback loop allows for intuition to surface, for inspiration to suddenly arise, seemingly out of nowhere. But it is not nowhere, it is the now-here of a universe whispering to itself. The brain becomes the translator of cosmic code, the interpreter of waves made intelligible through focus, receptivity, and emotional resonance. Tesla often spoke of numbers, especially 3, 6, and 9, as keys to understanding the universe. These are not just numerological curiosities, but patterns of harmonics, cycles of vibration embedded in the geometry of the cosmos. Frequencies such as 432 Hz or 528 Hz are believed to resonate with the natural architecture of life, creating resonance between mind and matter, between self and source. When we dwell in these frequencies through sound, intention, or presence, we begin to attract knowledge not as something learned, but remembered. We begin to awaken to the realization that the universe has been speaking to us all along, but we were too loud to listen. Energy, knowledge, and inspiration are not abstract gifts. They are encoded flows within the quantum lattice, waiting for a mind quiet and attuned enough to receive them. When Tesla wandered alone, watching lightning storms or walking miles deep in thought, he wasn't escaping the world. He was communing with the deeper language that builds it. He was syncing his consciousness with the pulse of creation, allowing himself to become a vessel through which universal intelligence could express itself. This is the nature of quantum consciousness, not an individual mind trapped in a skull, but a field of awareness that can stretch across dimensions, touch the unknown, and return with something timeless. Tesla didn't invent electricity. He listened to it, understood its dance, and translated its rhythm into technology. Likewise, the modern seeker can choose to see the universe not as a random clockwork, but as a conscious partner, broadcasting endlessly to those who are still enough to receive. The future of knowledge is not accumulation, but alignment. The future of creation is not effort, but resonance. And the future of consciousness may lie not in discovering something new, but in remembering what we are, receivers of a universe that already knows. Within the heart of every living being lies an unspoken alignment, an uncharted harmony with the universe's invisible breath. Though often buried beneath distractions and noise, this harmony pulses with quiet consistency, like a drumbeat woven into the silence of space. The quantum field, the immeasurable, infinite ocean from which all forms emerge, does not separate energy from intelligence. In this realm, thought is energy, and energy is communication. There is no void, only uncollapsed potential, and within that potential, a non-local intelligence that does not speak in language but in frequency, geometry, and vibration. The mind, when stilled and open, is not creating these patterns, it is decoding them. In this silent decoding, inspiration becomes less of an act and more of a reception. The human brain is a biological marvel, but its power is not found solely in its synaptic complexity. Rather, its power lies in its ability to interface with unseen information fields. These fields, layered and rich with possibility, extend far beyond the boundaries of the skull. Modern physics continues to reveal that particles separated by vast distances remain connected, entangled, able to affect one another instantaneously. If this is true for quanta, then it is also true for thought, intention, and consciousness. What one mind perceives, another may intuitively grasp. What one soul dreams, another may remember. This is the quiet architecture of quantum consciousness, not separation, but unbroken communion. The universe transmits not in words, but in pulses, frequencies, and shifting tides of vibration. When one aligns with those vibrations, through silence, surrender, curiosity, or awe, one becomes a mirror of the cosmos, a resonant chamber into which meaning can pour. This resonance is not random. It is shaped by the quality of awareness, the emotional tone of the seeker, and the inner coherence of their being. Incoherence distorts the signal, coherence clarifies it. Just as a radio must be finely tuned to receive a station, the mind must be vibrationally attuned to receive knowledge from the field. Tesla lived within this tuning. He believed fundamentally that the universe was a repository of infinite energy, and that this energy was not merely physical, it was mental, emotional, and creative. His own visions of wireless energy, limitless power, and interconnected communication networks were not born from calculation alone, but from deep inner receptivity. He accessed states of consciousness in which ideas would download in complete form, spatially, visually, mechanically, down to the smallest detail. These moments of reception were not dreams. They were not fantasies. They were real in a way that defied explanation but demanded expression. His brain became a conductor, his nervous system an extension of cosmic design, and his soul the open window through which future technology entered human time. The experience of such reception is not limited to rare inventors. It is available to all who train themselves to listen, not with the ears, but with the field of consciousness that surrounds the body. This listening requires stillness, not effort. It asks not for force, but surrender. It responds not to anxiety, but to attunement. In this field, knowledge floats like pollen on the wind, and inspiration brushes the skin of the soul without warning. A poem arises, a blueprint emerges, a song echoes in the mind before a single note is played. This is not imagination. It is information traveling through the quantum substrate of reality and landing in a mind that has made itself receptive. To receive is not passive. It is dynamic alignment. It requires the purification of noise, the refinement of attention, and the cultivation of sensitivity. In the ancient traditions, this was called gnosis, direct knowing, not taught through logic but awakened through contact with the deeper realms of being. In the quantum framework, this knowing is not local to the brain. It exists in the field and is merely accessed by the brain when conditions permit. The information is already there. The vision already exists. The transmission is always active, waiting for the dial to turn. Tesla's understanding of vibration as the language of the universe points to this subtle dynamic. His fascination with resonance, the way frequencies amplify or cancel each other, speaks to the inner mechanics of intuitive reception. When one's own frequency matches the frequency of a truth, the truth becomes clear. When the inner wave synchronizes with the outer field, insight arises like lightning from a clear sky. This is how the universe speaks, through matching patterns, through harmonic convergence, through the quiet arrival of clarity that feels both ancient and new. Inspiration is a form of energy, but it does not push, it pulls. It lures the seeker, beyond their comfort, toward visions that may seem impossible but feel inevitable. Tesla followed this pull relentlessly, often at the cost of social comfort or material gain. He chose alignment over approval, communion over convention. He lived in a world most cannot see, but one that is always here, beneath the skin of the visible. The key is receptivity, not reaction, not control, not analysis, but the inner posture of listening without agenda. When the seeker becomes still, the signal becomes strong. When the mind becomes quiet, the music begins. The universe transmits not through effort, but through resonance. It is not a brute force, it is a whisper, a suggestion, a path unfolding not in straight lines, but in spirals and synchronicities. To receive is to trust what has not yet appeared, and to welcome the unknown as a messenger bearing the signature of the infinite. In the end, knowledge is not something we acquire, it is something we allow. The most profound truths are not manufactured by thought, but welcomed by awareness. The universe speaks in every moment, and those who learn to listen become part of its ever-evolving expression. There is a dimension of mind that exists beyond cognition, beyond analysis, and beyond the machinery of linear thought. This dimension does not follow time's arrow or logic's steps. It is circular, holographic, and luminous. It does not think. It knows. It does not grasp. It receives. In this quantum dimension of consciousness, the distinction between the perceiver and the perceived dissolves, and the universe no longer stands apart as object but merges as co-creator. This level of awareness is not confined to mystics or visionaries. It is encoded into the architecture of all life, waiting for activation. The human nervous system is more than an electrical network encased in biology. It is an antenna, a multi-channel receiver capable of tuning into information that exists outside space and time. It is this capacity that allows moments of revelation, of clarity without process, of knowing without prior data. Quantum coherence in the body, where the brain, heart, and cells are vibrating in harmonious rhythm, becomes the vehicle through which the invisible begins to communicate with the visible. In this state, the veil thins. The field becomes alive, with meaning. Patterns previously hidden emerge from silence, and insight crystallizes with a clarity that feels almost divine. Nikola Tesla did not conceptualize his inventions through rote experimentation alone. His ideas arrived fully formed, born from his access to this higher-order consciousness. He once said that he did not need to construct models or prototypes, because he could build the entire machine in his mind. Run it, test it, and refine it before ever touching a tool. This is not imagination in the conventional sense. It is a vivid form of quantum vision, where thought becomes spatial, where the mind interfaces directly with the archetypes of invention that exist beyond form. In quantum physics, reality does not solidify until it is observed. Until then, it exists in a state of probability, a wave of potential outcomes. This principle mirrors the creative process of consciousness at large. The observer, when deeply present and vibrationally aligned, does not simply witness reality, they participate in its birth. In the quantum field, intention collapses possibility into form. Tesla's visionary states were not dreams, they were acts of high-frequency intention, pulling unseen realities into manifestation by virtue of unwavering focus and internal coherence. Energy in its purest form is intelligent. It is not chaotic but responsive. It is not blind, but guided by deeper rhythms. Tesla often spoke of a central source, a field of infinite intelligence and energy that powered the universe and could be tapped into by those who understood its principles. His understanding of this source was not theoretical, it was experiential. He communed with it, he listened to it, he learned from it, and through this silent partnership, he drew forth technologies far beyond his era's comprehension. Modern science edges closer to this realization. Studies in consciousness, coherence, and the quantum brain reveal that states of deep inner stillness can alter electromagnetic patterns in the heart, synchronize hemispheres of the brain, and create measurable fields around the body. In these states, creativity increases, perception expands, and healing accelerates. What Tesla lived through instinct and vision is now being rediscovered through instruments and metrics. But the heart of the truth remains. The universe is not a machine. It is a mind. The mind that receives from this universal source does not do so by force. It is a process of opening, not pushing. Just as a telescope must be finely aligned to see the distant stars, so too must consciousness align itself with the quiet intelligence of the quantum field. Distraction, fear, and cynicism are distortions in the lens. Clarity, wonder, and coherence polish it. In this refined state, thought is no longer bound by the past. It becomes a vehicle for the future to speak. Tesla's solitude was not isolation. It was attunement. In the quiet, he touched a space where time bent, where ideas shimmered in light before they found form. He moved through a realm of imagination that was indistinguishable from memory, not because he invented something new, but because he remembered something eternal. This remembrance is the secret source of all great art, invention, and healing. It is the soul remembering its place in the cosmic web, drawing from the universal blueprint to create something utterly unique, yet profoundly familiar. This process of reception is not linear. One does not move from ignorance to knowledge in neat steps. Rather, awareness leaps across the void like lightning, connecting unseen truths with startling speed. The quantum mind does not walk, it flies. It does not gather, it unveils. This is the core of intuitive genius. Not accumulation, but revelation. Not calculation, but surrender. Tesla's visions were not just about electricity, they were about humanity's evolution. He believed that as we mastered the subtle forces of the universe, we would unlock not only technological advancement, but spiritual awakening. The two were not separate. To him, every vibration was sacred. Every field was alive. Every invention was a bridge between matter and meaning. To dwell in this space is to move beyond thought into knowing. It is to become receptive to the unspoken voice of the cosmos, to recognize that every solution already exists within the field, waiting for alignment. The mind becomes a vessel, not a maker. The hands, instruments of a deeper will. The ego recedes. The field speaks. And the act of creation becomes an act of listening. There is no higher intelligence than that which flows through all things. silently shaping the unfolding of stars, cells, and symphonies. To tap into it is to awaken the true nature of the self, not as a separate observer, but as a participant, in a cosmic dialogue that never began and will never end. The unseen forces that shape our world do not act chaotically. They operate by principles, by vibrations, by harmonies that extend far beyond the range of human senses. Yet these same forces can be felt, intuited, and even guided when the mind becomes quiet and receptive enough to notice them. This is the essence of what some call universal resonance, a state where one's consciousness aligns so closely with the fabric of the cosmos that inspiration and energy are no longer external phenomena, but internal currents. It is in this state that the universe teaches without words, and one learns without effort. Resonance is more than sound. It is a condition of vibrational match. Two frequencies, when aligned, amplify each other. The heart, the brain, and the electromagnetic field of the human body all generate waves that either disrupt or harmonize with the frequencies around them. When these internal waves become coherent, when the noise of stress and ego dissolves, the body becomes like a tuning fork, vibrating in sympathy with deeper patterns of order. And within this order, knowledge flows not through study, but through sudden clarity, as if the truth had been waiting behind a curtain that has finally lifted. Tesla understood this instinctively. He attuned his body and mind through silence, solitude, and rhythm. His daily walks, his structured routines, and his intense periods of reflection were not habits of eccentricity. They were rituals of alignment. Through these patterns, he created conditions where resonance could occur, where his frequency would meet the frequency of universal intelligence, and in that intersection, ideas would be born. He did not pursue ideas as much as he made himself available to receive them. In this state of resonance, the mind operates differently. It does not construct meaning from fragments. It perceives wholeness. It does not analyze, it absorbs. It does not seek, it welcomes. It is no longer working for answers. It is resting in the presence of the answer before the question even forms. This is not imagination in the creative sense. It is imagination in the quantum sense, a direct interface with patterns and information that exist beyond time and space. The electromagnetic field of the heart is 60 times greater in amplitude than that of the brain, and its signals can influence brain function. When the heart is in a state of emotional coherence, peace, gratitude, reverence, the signals it sends to the brain organize thought into clarity. In this condition, the body becomes an instrument of insight. It tunes itself to a wider spectrum of awareness, catching frequencies of inspiration that would otherwise be drowned in static. Tesla's life was a demonstration of this principle. He did not merely think with his brain, he perceived with his entire being. The quantum field responds not to what we think, but to what we are. It mirrors our state of coherence or incoherence. And this field is not inert, it is intelligent. It stores information, it carries memory, it responds to attention. When a mind is attuned to the field in resonance, information flows across dimensions, past the limits of logic, like music bypassing the need for translation. This is how visions arrive before invention. This is how the future whispers to the present. Ideas are not manufactured, they are received. They are not chased, they are magnetized by inner conditions. A question deeply held in the silent heart radiates a signal into the field. When that signal matches a frequency of insight already present in the quantum web, the answer is drawn back with astonishing accuracy. Tesla was a master of this process. He placed himself in a vibrational position of openness and waited, not passively, but with full presence. His mind was like a glass still surface, and the field rippled with response. These ideas, born in stillness, are not of the ordinary variety. They do not replicate what has come before. They represent quantum leaps, innovations that are whole systems unto themselves, complex yet elegant, novel yet inevitable. They emerge not from struggle, but from synchronization with deeper order. And once they arrive, they carry the unmistakable sense of truth because they are not merely intelligent. They are coherent with the fundamental design of the universe itself. In every human being lies this capacity. Every mind has the potential to become a portal, a node in the universal matrix, capable of receiving inspiration not limited by memory or culture. But this capacity is dormant in many, dulled by noise, distraction, and disconnection from the natural rhythms that guide life. Resonance must be cultivated. It requires care. It asks for moments of stillness, attention to intuition, and reverence for the unseen. The body, too, plays a role. The rhythms of breath, the electromagnetic hum of the heart, the subtle oscillations of the nervous system, these are the instruments through which the music of the field is heard. When these rhythms are attuned to the rhythms of the earth, of light, of the quantum sea that surrounds all things, the body becomes a sanctuary for transmission. Tesla's own health practices, his abstention from certain stimulants, his attention to rest and renewal, these were not mere habits, but part of his greater philosophy of tuning himself to the universe's deeper frequencies. The universe is not indifferent. It listens, it responds, it waits for coherence, for harmony, for readiness. When that readiness appears in the form of a resonant human mind, the doors open. Energy begins to speak in the language of form. Information pours, in like light through a crystal, and the one who receives becomes a vessel, not of invention, but of translation, translating the infinite into the visible, translating the eternal into the useful, translating the silence into symphony. In this sacred resonance, creation is no longer work, it is participation. The individual does not compete with the universe, they collaborate. No longer trying to force reality into shape, the mind learns to listen, to tune, to align. And from that stillness, from that resonance, a power flows that is beyond calculation, a genius that needs no explanation, only space. In the deepest silence, where no thought rises and no desire agitates the surface of the self, there is a current that moves, not with force, but with presence. This current is not felt through the five senses, yet it animates them. It does not speak in language, yet it inspires all words that carry truth. It does not shout but whispers directly into the essence of consciousness. It is the current of the universe, pure intelligence, energy, and knowing, and it does not travel across space. It emerges from within. In every mind lies a portal to this stream, and those who have learned to open it become receivers of a vastness far beyond personal capacity. The idea that the universe transmits energy, knowledge, and inspiration is not poetic metaphor. It is a functional reality within the quantum field, and those transmissions are not reserved for the few. They are available to any who attune themselves to the universal frequencies of coherence, clarity, and intent. Nikola Tesla was a reminder of this truth. He did not invent from ego, but from surrender. He opened himself. He listened. He translated. The very structure of space is not empty, it is charged. Quantum physics confirms that what appears as vacuum is a sea of possibilities, a zero-point field teeming with fluctuations, energy, and patterns waiting for form. When the human mind enters states of deep coherence through meditation, intention, or focused presence, it begins to interact with this field not as a passive observer, but as an active participant. Thoughts, emotions, and visions are not simply internal artifacts. They are exchanges. The mind becomes a receiver, and in high resonance, it becomes a transmitter too. Tesla's insights often came not from prolonged problem-solving, but from sudden visions, entire machines appearing in his mind, complete with design, movement, and functionality. These were not hallucinations, but downloads. They arrived fully formed, as if from a place where all inventions already existed and only needed a willing channel to enter reality. His notebooks and diaries make this evident. The clarity of his descriptions, the lack of iterative trial and error. It was as if the ideas simply chose him as the vessel because he was clear enough, still enough, and empty enough of interference to carry them into form. Inspiration, then, is not the spark of a personal mind. It is a signature of alignment. When one aligns thought with truth, action with integrity, and intention with the good of all, the universe responds. It supplies what is needed, not merely information, but energy, stamina, clarity, and sometimes even the resources for material creation. Many of Tesla's projects failed not for lack of brilliance, but for the inability of the time's social and economic structures to comprehend or support his frequency. His vision belonged to a future that had not yet matured. Yet this is the task of all visionaries, to become bridges between the timeless and the temporal, to catch glimpses of the eternal design and offer it, gently and persistently, to a world not always ready to understand. And in doing so, they transform not just technology, but consciousness itself. They expand the boundary of what is possible, not by pushing harder, but by receiving deeper. Every human mind is a unique configuration of consciousness, shaped by its past but also open to infinite future states. The field does not discriminate. It responds to clarity. It speaks in symbols, sensations, dreams, and sudden knowing. It bypasses the intellect when needed, whispering through images or nudging through emotion. The key is not to force the message, but to prepare the space within so that message can land gently and be understood. In a world overwhelmed with information, distraction, and artificial stimuli, the stillness required for universal reception becomes a rare art, yet it is the stillness that holds the power. The greatest breakthroughs of science, art, and healing do not arrive through linear thinking. They descend into the silence of an open heart. Tesla cultivated this silence. He honored solitude, not as escape, but as access. He knew that true connection begins where noise ends. Even in his technological genius, there was a spiritual principle at play, that energy should be free, that knowledge should liberate, and that inspiration should uplift. His wireless transmission projects were metaphors as much as machines, proof that energy could move across distance, that power did not need cables or walls. The universe itself transmits this way, direct, unconfined, elegant. It offers what is needed through vibration, through resonance, through relationship with the field. To participate in this exchange is to step out of linear time and into the sacred loop of co-creation. You become a collaborator with the very source of being, not by imposing your will on reality, but by allowing reality to inform and shape your will. And in this mutual listening, between self and source, between heart and universe, a new kind of intelligence is born, one that is beyond schooling, beyond culture, beyond the individual. It is cosmic. It is whole. This is not mysticism. It is the frontier of human consciousness. It is the same energy that moves galaxies and ignites ideas. The same intelligence that patterns a sunflower spiral also guides the unfolding of intuition. The quantum and the spiritual are not separate. They are mirrors. They reflect the truth that all things are connected by unseen threads, and that every thought carries the potential to resonate across the entire web of existence. Tesla once said, "My brain is only a receiver." In the universe, there is a core from which we obtain knowledge, strength, and inspiration. This was not metaphor to him. It was practice. And it can be ours too. When we understand that our consciousness is not confined to the skull, but extends into the field like an antenna, everything changes. The search for meaning becomes the creation of meaning. The desire to know becomes a path of remembering. We are not waiting for inspiration. It is waiting for us to be still enough to hear it, to be open enough to hold it, and to be brave enough to live it. The universe is not silent. It is singing. And when you tune to its song, you don't just hear the music, you become the instrument. If you found this message resonant or inspiring, take a moment to like, share, and subscribe. Help spread this light so others may awaken their inner receiver and rediscover the timeless genius already whispering within.